This is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.
Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome to the Waking Up Thoughtcast Live. I'm your host, Amy Kay. And you know what? Some shit has gone down in the past few days. So bear with me here. As you can see, what I have up right now is you can call it a debate, but I don't think it was a debate more than it was a call-out video or just Blaire calling the fuck out of Jessica Yaniv, who, if you don't know, is from where I am from, which is why I'm like, maybe I should look into this trans stuff and see what the hell is happening here in BC, because I'm actually not entirely certain. Just give me 1 second. Good morning. Hi, guys. 1 moment, please, because I can't see shit. All right, I see it now. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Jamie Turner. And good morning, Chris. All right. So, as I was saying, I don't know if you caught any of this debate, but I'm just going to run through it real quick, show you some of what happened, and then show you what has progressed since then. Now, just a little bit of background. Jessica Yaniv is clearly a dude who dresses like a woman, calls himself trans, says that he has both sets of reproductive organs, says that he menstruates, asks young girls about pads and tampons and all this freaky ass shit, denies all the allegations, even though there are receipts, as we like to call them today in 2019, and during the live stream pulled out a taser, which probably wasn't the smartest thing, which is a prohibited weapon here in Canada, and apparently got in a bit of trouble. So let me just run through this real quick. It was really vapid, I will say that. I somehow watched the hour and 10 minutes twice. I mean, I kind of enjoyed that Blaire was just going at him. Should I be respectful and say her? Because I'm going to be honest, I really don't care to, because that, to me, doesn't look like a her at all. And it looks like the effort is so minimal. Am I being rude? Am I being rude here? I don't even fucking care. How's that? How is that? All right, let's play some of this, shall we?
You know, I hate having to do this. Literally, I am on... Where is this? I am on medication. And
is that like schizophrenia or what?
No. What is that third medication? I know you're on it too, Blaire.
Estrogen. Okay.
Exactly.
I'm actually happy that you're taking estrogen, because that will remove your sex drive, and I think that will probably be the best thing for society and anyone and everyone around you.
You know,
But again, are you willing to say that you do not represent the trans community, and that your actions and that your predatory behavior does not speak to them?
No, what I'm going to say is predatory behavior is not okay whatsoever.
It's not.
It's not.
But you're
so why predatory. Do you think your behavior is okay?
Exactly.
Because basically, what did I do wrong here?
You are a predator. You put women out of business who don't want to touch your dick. You message children inappropriate messages, and you make trans people look terrible. Like I said, your existence is measured only by the harm in which you do to everyone around you. And that's a problem.
You see, Blaire,
And that wig.
What?
That's a problem.
What, the wig?
The Party City wig is also a problem.
It's not a Party City wig.
If you paid anything other than Party City prices, you need to get your money back. But as I was saying, so you agree. Why do you think that your behavior is not predatory?
This is because so cringy.
What I am doing is I am asserting the British Columbia law here. And the British
you're dating the system, and you're abusing protections that are supposed to protect marginalized people, trans people, and you're using it to your own gain. You're using it
I'm
to
not.
get touch you, and you're using it to.
So this person,
You're going to be treated differently.
This person, the entire conversation, denied, no, disagreed, gave really shitty examples or counter examples to anything that Blaire had said. And it was just kind of an overall fuck show, if you ask me. And since this has occurred, it has come to my attention that Jessica Yaniv has been arrested. So let's take a look at that and see what exactly it is. Good morning. Yes, Paul, it really is Jabba. Waving stun gun on live stream lands transgender body waxing activist behind bars. Please keep in mind that this person is anti-immigration, or anti-immigrant, I should say, because there was a very specific pattern in the people that it was chasing in regards to this waxing issue. It's shut down a few places, but let's continue with this. Waving stun gun on livestream lands transgender body waxing activist behind bars. Oh my goodness, look at this. Toronto Sun. How weird is it to see YouTubers in big city magazines or newspapers or whatever, digital newspapers like this. BC transgender activist Jessica Yaniv Wright brandishes an electric stun gun during a live interview with commentator Blaire White on Monday, August 5th. RCMP officers arrested Yaniv at her home hours later. Oh, so it was the same day. Brandishing a stun gun during an online interview has landed a contentious transgender activist in hot water. Mounties arrived at the Langley, BC apartment of Jessica Yaniv Monday, just hours after she demonstrated the weapon during a live YouTube interview with transgender commentator Blaire White. I don't need to be scared in my own house that I'm going to get fucking attacked, Yaniv said, the rest of her sentence drowned out by the sparking stun gun she stuck into the camera, which is illegal in Canada, just saying. Smart, right? What a smart thing to do is to pull out something that's prohibited in Canada and be like, ah. Hours later, RCMP knocked on her door. Placed under arrest, Yaniv spent several hours in custody before being released. Yaniv, 32, gained notoriety over ongoing human rights complaints against BC estheticians, many newcomers to Canada who declined to give the transgender woman a Brazilian wax due to her penis and testicles. Her penis and testicles. There's already something wrong with that sentence. I can't even believe this is happening. It really is clown world. Yaniv claims the RCMP were well aware of her weapons given to her, she says, by a friend concerned for her safety. And that's my problem. Why? Do you think actual women would not like to carry around tasers for their fucking safety? You think maybe that weapon is prohibited for a fucking reason? No, I guess not. But, oh, you're a trans woman, so you should get special treatment and you should be able to have one. Because your friend gave it to you, because she's concerned about your safety. Nigga, who is gonna jump you? Give me a break. What the hell? Let's see. Alleged predator, Jessica Yaniv, arrested, home searched. Oh, home searched. That wasn't in the last one, was it? Update. Oh, this is, okay. According to the National Post, after the Monday afternoon Blaire White live stream in which the prohibited weapon was brandished, Yaniv was arrested and brought to an RCMP holding cell. Yaniv was released Tuesday morning. Okay. The Post-Millennial has confirmed speculation that the Walnut Grove home of Jessica Yaniv was raided by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police last night. The raid follows Yaniv's explosive live appearance, on Blaire White's YouTube channel, brandishing and demonstrating the functionality of a taser at one point in the debate and claiming to be fully aware of its illegality. Yaniv also claimed to possess pepper spray. Pepper spray. Yaniv's discussion of the weapons followed a lengthy racist rant disparaging the East Indian and immigrant communities of British Columbia, asserting, "We have fucked up people who migrate here, who think they can do whatever they want." You know, this is so ridiculous to be able to take a story. First of all, it's amazing that these women went out of business. I cannot believe they did. if you watch the live stream that she did with Blaire, Blaire said all the super chat money was going to be donated to the women who lost their businesses in the wake of this fucking monstrosity coming in and getting pissed off that they would not give it a bro-zillion. The ad was for a bra-zillion, which deals with female genitals. I don't need to get into that. There's obvious differences between the two, right? And there's obviously reasons why one would feel a little bit uncomfortable if they're not used to waxing male genitals to turn somebody away. But using this whole I'm trans bullshit, you can get away with so much shit. Why are people being put out of business because they don't want to wax you for your own safety and because they're uncomfortable? Does that make sense to anybody? That these women's businesses were shut down is kind of a travesty to begin with. Like, it's hard to come here from other countries. It's not easy to immigrate here. And then to try and open a business and run a salon and have to deal with this kind of problem? I don't understand. I feel like, I go to an esthetician and they're Muslim and there's no men allowed in their salon. And I should have asked her. I planned to yesterday, but honestly, this was just too much of a mess. It required so much attention. Dude, when I walked in yesterday, you know what Auntie said to me? She looked at me and she went, "Oh, Amy." And I was like, because I let my eyebrows grow in for so long. And she was not happy about that because I have the thickest, bushiest, grossest eyebrows. They make me super insecure, by the way. So if you really want to break my heart and hurt my feelings and make me feel super uncomfortable, just make fun of my eyebrows, okay? Because you will remind me of my handicap if you do. And then I'll start feeling fat because every time my eyebrows get bushy, I feel super fat. But anyways, I feel like my plan was to go in and ask her a series of questions about this because it is something that she potentially might have had to deal with if this person is coming around and going to immigrant salons or waxing places and asking for services that they do not provide. But it's a woman, right? That's what it wants me to believe. It wants me to play its game. In my game, I am a girl. In Jessica Yaniv's game, that person is a female, full-fledged, right? So I guess the expectation is that everybody else is supposed to play the game of delusion with them. So this is when delusion goes too far. It's when people take things like this and go way too far with them. And then everybody else has to deal with the fact that they're refusing to manage even a little bit of reality that's happening. Like, yo, bro, you have a penis and testicles. And it's fine if you feel like a woman. It's totally cool. We get it. I have no problem calling you she. I'm just not going to now because of all the disrespect that you've lobbed outward. You don't deserve that if you're going to treat other people like that. I can't believe this expectation that I can behave however I want towards people. But you better call me by my correct pronoun or I'm going to raise hell. Well, you don't get that from me anymore. So, your failure to manage reality, unfortunately, has caused people problems. There was a point in the interview, or whatever you want to call it, that Blaire had asked, hey, so you feel totally okay doing this to women who have children and families they need to feed? And never answered yes or no, just went right back to the idea that I'm a trans woman and I just want a service that I've been offered. Okay. Well, the service is for a woman. For a woman with female parts. See how stupid this gets when you have to start doing that? Our services, so what are you going to do now? Are you going to advertise sales and services in the newspaper and be like, our services are for females with female genitalia only? And then it's going to cause more havoc. I can't imagine having a representative like this of my community. If I was trans, the last person that I would want representing me is fucking Jessica Yaniv, who's such an asshole. Like this issue, right? The issue of transgenderism, like all these kind of SJWE lefty issues, you would think that they would all kind of want to support each other. But isn't it funny now that that in this instance her identity is being used as like a way to funnel her hatred for immigrants and for Sikhs in particular? But that's totally okay because she is an oppressed minority. Unbe-fucking-lievable, this dumb political shit. Oh my gosh. Oh, hello! What's going on? I see Likey. Hi, Likey. Hi, Delane. Hi. Everybody in the chat, good morning. I'm just going on a fucking rant at the moment because I cannot stand this Jessica Yaniv person, whom I find very frustrating. I think it's way too easy for especially predatory men, okay? It's way too easy and out for predatory men to just say, I'm a woman now, and get access to younger women. And it's a little bit disheartening and frightening and totally fucking creepy. Oh, the internet, right? It makes things so creepy. Did I read on here? Reports about the raid initially circulated on the forum Kiwi Farms with Use Your Neighbor to Yaniv. WG Kitty, can you believe when news stories have people's usernames in them? And not their names? Reporting the arrival of police at approximately 9:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The user reported police presence at Yaniv's Walnut Grove residence. Pardon me. Overnight, August 5th, with a search to be conducted by the federal RCMP this morning. I mean, what are y'all gonna search for? All you're gonna find is pads. All you're gonna find is pads, so don't get too excited there. It was such a rude interview too, by the way, if you saw any of it. During the entire thing, that thing's phone kept ringing. It was just so rude. Like, how do you even deal with an issue like that? The phone was ringing constantly. I felt like it was a way to distract. I do not, in my mind, think that anything that this person did isn't in some way contrived. Just because of the nature by like in which this person went after people and their salons. Ugh. I'm so sorry, but I know. I am not done, okay? Okay? So I was taking a look yesterday at some of the, look at that, I was looking for a PNG. Yesterday, a few things were mentioned here. Well, not yesterday, in that interview that I started looking up, and I was just like, what is this Vancouver rape relief? So apparently this place has been around in Vancouver for quite some time, providing help for women in domestic abuse situations and rape relief and, of course, all these kinds of things. And the safe houses and the transfer homes are particularly for women only. And that is the only part of it that obviously the trans activists had an issue with, because all the services they offer, they are willing to offer them to anybody who's in any kind of crisis situation. But the shelter is different. I mean, you have to imagine being a woman who's just been abused. You probably won't feel comfortable with another man in that house, regardless of whether they're wearing a fucking wig or not. I mean, can we just be a bit reasonable about a battered shelter? Here's the other thing, or a rape relief shelter, which, by the way, has had its funding cut now because of this trans issue. And the thing that I don't understand is this. Hey, trans people, why don't you open your own fucking shelters? So rude, right? You can go and request the grants and the funding that this Vancouver rape relief place has been utilizing to help women and educate them in situations like this if they have to come across them in the future or what have you. And again, these classes and the education and all that kind of stuff is available to trans people as well. So it's just super disappointing to see that services like this are being shut down. In the name of inclusion, let's exclude all the battered and beaten and raped women. Where is the thinking here? That's what I want to know. And there should be a separate abuse shelter for trans. There should be. I think there's a good reason for that. It just feels like it's the right kind of separation to make. Again, like, if you have men who are dressed up as women, women might not be comfortable with that. So why would you want to do that? Why would you want to make a woman who is already in a compromised and vulnerable position feel any kind of unsafe by introducing a potential situation that could make it so? It just doesn't make sense. It makes no fucking sense, okay? So this organization has now lost funding. It's something that was mentioned by Yaniv in the interview. And it seems that she was saying that it's a trans issue. You should be able to get rape relief as a trans woman. And this has always been their policy too, by the way. I'll make sure I throw these links up for you guys later, but this is just what I was kind of going through when I was looking through a bunch of stuff that was mentioned. Because I'm actually not incredibly acquainted with a lot of the laws in BC, but I did kind of skim through it and check it out. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to do this morning a little bit. Get a little acquainted. Yeah, for refusing to accept trans women. Vancouver Rape Relief and Women's Shelter, Canada's oldest rape crisis centre, has been stripped of city funding after refusing to rescind its policy of only serving female-born women. In a statement, the organization said they were the victim of discrimination against women in the name of inclusion and accused Vancouver City Council of trying to coerce us to change our position. Meanwhile, the measure was cheered by activists who have long singled out Vancouver Rape Relief as a bastion of trans exclusionary behavior. This shit is so fucking infuriating, and what's even more infuriating to me is that, like, just because these people are bitching and whining about this issue, instead of, like, how about propose a solution? Like I said, why don't you guys open your own fucking halfway house relief rape center? It's so unfair that legitimate cause for concern in these kinds of situations are totally ignored because as soon as you throw up that D word, discrimination, don't discriminate. If you discriminate, you're an asshole and we're just going to shut you down because what? It's bad PR? Like, what the hell? Why is nobody thinking about this? So, hey, this excellent rape relief center that has been available in Vancouver for quite some time is now going to be inaccessible to women of abuse. Great job, trans community. That's the way to go, isn't it? Take away shit from other people because you feel you're being cheated, because you're fucking confused. I personally view the trans thing as a mental illness. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. It's very uncomfortable. Just think about it as a kind of dysmorphia. That's exactly what it is. I mean, if you are outwardly something and inwardly feel something else, there is a clear dysmorphia there. And you know what else is super fucking annoying? Let me talk about this for a minute, okay? There are clear biological trends, right? The reason we have the label of male and female, and the reason that male and female are linked to men and women, is because there are traits specific to those categories that make them what they are. And those traits have been determined based on trends we see in the world. That's why it's normal to be one thing, is because it's what we see most of. It is just a statistical expression to say man or woman in regards to male and female. So the way that people are trying to change words now and change what they mean is literally you trying to change reality, because the words we have describe reality for a reason. It's not that arbitrary. It's not as arbitrary as people would like to think, especially when it comes to fucking gender or sex, which I personally don't think are separate. You know what I mean? I think those concepts are one and of the same thing. And I mean, you can have traits of one or the other sex. What is the big deal? It's not that big of a deal. It's not fair to expect everybody else to change that definition because you feel differently. You feel differently, and the world sees everything differently or sees it differently, and there's a reason for that. It's super unfair to expect anybody to take on your definition of a certain word, especially when it's inaccurate, dude. It's fucking inaccurate. Why is this so difficult? And again, there are biological reasons for being male and biological reasons for being female. Again, it has to do with a certain set of characteristics that each of those categories has. Are there some in between? Is there some weird spots on the gradient that people are going to be? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that just because you're there and you're on the outside of the norm, that you get to change reality because you feel excluded. Dude, nobody is trying to exclude you, okay? If you want to be included, just don't be an asshole. How hard is that? Just say, I feel like a woman and I got dick and balls, but you know what? I'm a woman. Fine. But go in for a brozillion and not a brazillion, and be considerate of other people if you want them to be considerate of you. Dude, I'm sorry that you have a mental illness. I'm sorry that things didn't pan out or work out the same way they did for other people who don't have that dysmorphia. But you know what? There's dysmorphias of other kinds. And like, I hate to push the idea that being trans is something special. It's fucking not. It's about as special as having schizophrenia, okay? Everybody has something. We're not going to deal with the problem by having it forced down our throat and being told that the reality that we have lived with for so long is now wrong because you feel a certain way about something. Again, sorry for your mental illness, my friend, but it's not everybody else's problem to accommodate you on your journey to finding yourself. That's your fucking deal. Figure it the fuck out and stop putting it on the world. Okay, cool. Let's hope we get that, just because it's super unfair to have these kind of expectations. And you know what? Why wouldn't you have these expectations when everybody around you is going to create laws to coddle and cushion you and make you feel comfortable? Maybe you're supposed to be uncomfortable. Have you thought of that? Maybe you are supposed to be uncomfortable. Maybe you are supposed to figure your shit out. Anybody can be uncomfortable for a number of reasons in their life. Is that anybody else's fucking problem? No. So why is it any different with gender? And why is this treated like it's such a big fucking deal when it's not? It should not be. It's just because a lot of the people that we hear about from these communities are screaming and being total dickheads. And it's unfortunate because there are trans people who really just mind their own business, want to live their lives, and don't want to cause people problems. They're not going to fight with you over what bathroom to go to. They're just going to keep their fucking mouth shut. They're just going to use whatever bathroom they feel suits them. And if they have a problem or if someone has a problem with them, they'll let them know, and then they'll change their course of action because they're not fucking assholes. Be considerate. It's not up to everybody else in this world to accommodate you and the shit that you're going through. We're all going through shit in some way. Just because yours is specifically gender tagged doesn't mean it's any special than anybody else's shit. Holy crap. It's called the removal of Christ philosophy from the world. Oh God, please spare me. Spare me that, please. Spare me the Christ philosophy. Spare me your Christ philosophy. What's going on, guys? How is everybody? Oh my God, we got some dollar bills, y'all. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Good morning. Thank you for the dollars. What's going on with you guys? What's happening this morning? What is everybody talking about? Give her money, pay them, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I'm not sure why on earth this thing is not working at the moment. Thank you for the euros. A good morning. Jessica is as ugly as a bag full of chisels. I have to register a complaint that the stream... You know what, Chris? I think that might actually be my fault. It might be a different setting that I am using on Streamlabs at the moment. because I have a couple of things, different ones set up. So I think this is actually my bad. Hold on, let's see if I can do this correctly. What does that look like? Can you see? Can you see? All right, somebody pay me so that... God damn it. There, can you see that? You have to forgive me just because, you know, sometimes these things are a little bit complex and I am not always the best at them. So, forgive me. Forgive me, please. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? You know what? Now you got me on this thing, and I really do blame you. I really blame you, Christopher Robin. Okay. Anyways, are you happy? It's at the bottom now. Are you happy? This is all for you, Chris. It's all for you. Okay. I was on a fucking rant, and I got interrupted talking to you guys. But let's take a look at this other shit. So we got this, right? Everybody's up to date on this whole thing. I didn't realize how many websites there are available. I had no idea that this trans issue was an issue here because it was mentioned several times by Jessica Yaniv that, like, oh my God, living in Surrey is a hellhole, and like the trans issue is so blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of like, okay, maybe what I should do is do my due diligence and take a look at exactly what the deal is. And I also learned in the midst of this that there is a separate terminology for Aboriginal trans, which, can you believe it? It's called two-spirit people. Am I mean for laughing at that? I honestly think that maybe this is a little bit too silly for me. But let's see. Unite with trans communities against violence and discrimination. Call on Canada's Parliament to pass legislation protecting gender identity without delay. I mean, what do you get out of protecting an identity, really? We recognize the violence and discrimination faced by the transgender, trans blah, 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 two-spirit gender variant trans community in Canada. Look how ridiculous that is. That does not need to be there. They could have just said trans. But don't exclude any of the subset of Whoa, whoa, whoa. What the fuck was that? Okay. Do not. You know what? This is going to be a problem for me now. So maybe we'll do... It's just stupid. Give me 1 second. This is very unprofessional, but it's okay. You're just gonna have to deal with that shit. Deal with my morning bullshit. All right, cool. Okay. Don't forget the subset of trans, transsexual, transgender, intersex, two-spirit, gender variant trans community in Canada. In a recent nationwide survey, 74% of transgender youth reported experiencing verbal harassment in school. Do we all not experience verbal harassment in school? I fucking did. I'm not trans. Mentally ill? For sure. Trans? No. Physical violence is definitely not good, but I mean, is it because they're trans? That's what I really would like to know. Transgender individuals in Ontario face unemployment over 3 times the national rate, and many more are underemployed. Is it really as a result of discrimination, though? And bullying, the trans community faces high rates of mental health issues. Dude, the ordeal is a mental health issue. Rates of depression are as high as 2/3. 77% of transgender individuals in Ontario report having considered suicide, and 43 have attempted suicide at least once. Yeah, because I can't imagine it's super fucking easy to be confused about who the fuck you are. So, yeah, it's an existential crisis unless you can make peace with it. And if you fucking don't, you're probably gonna want to off yourself. Dude, nobody is denying the idea that it's gotta be fucking difficult to not understand yourself, okay? Look at that. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Canada's 42nd Parliament has the opportunity to address the violence and discrimination faced by trans individuals by introducing and passing without delay legislation that will amend the Canadian Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code to provide trans individuals with the same legal protections as other vulnerable groups. Look at all this. Oh my goodness. Trans Rights BC. Shit. I feel like something that I really need to do is I really need to go around to some businesses and I need to ask questions. But you know what I really want? I want to have like one of those fake mics so that it actually looks like I'm interviewing, you know? Because it would be interesting to know. Plus, I'm bilingual and I can speak Punjabi to these ladies and ask them what their views are on the trans issue. Maybe it could be fun. Who knows? But it's kind of weird to do because Indian people are really not keen on talking to people about issues like that. They just like to keep their mouth shut and keep away. And if they don't want to help you, they'll just tell you to fuck off. So, especially Indian people here. So there's a little bit of a point that Yaniv may have, but I don't think it's coming from the right place. I think she just has a problem with Sikhs in general. But the culture and like the amount of Indian people here, they really do have this mentality that they own Surrey and it's all theirs because there's so many of them here. And like one person will come from India and then somehow they'll either open a business or they'll do something and they'll sponsor their whole fucking family. And then they will show up and over the years, they just keep bringing people over. And at the end of like a 5-year period, you have a house full of like 8 fucking Hindus. They buy like 30 gallons of milk a week and they drive Escalades. And they're really fucking rude to people, and they talk Indian in front of white people, and they talk a lot of shit about them, and it's just, there's a lot of rude behavior that comes out of the Indian community here. So I totally do understand that whole thing, but I don't think that's what the problem with Yaniv was. So, plus you kind of have to be in the culture a little bit to understand like what it is about the people that you don't like, right? I mean, there are obviously very obvious things. There are obviously very obvious things, guys. Don't play. Don't play with me, girl. Okay. Welcome to the Trans BC Rights website. This project aims to disseminate human rights information that is accurate, accessible, and relevant to the safety and well-being of trans and gender diverse individuals and their supportive allies across British Columbia. That's where I live. We hope people empower themselves through this information. Wow, that made no sense. We hope people empower themselves through this information, everyone, to advocate for their rights and the rights of those they support through increased knowledge and capacity. We hope people empower themselves through this information to advocate for their rights and the rights of those they support through increased knowledge and capacity. Do you do that too? If people have shitty sentences, I can't help but edit them in real time because it needs to be coherent and make sense to me. That one word just fucking threw that entire thing off. Why Trans Rights BC? What I'm trying to figure out here is ID stuff, and I don't actually know any of the transgender rights or anything. Over the last few years, the Catherine White Home and blah 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 and the blah 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 have experienced an increase in the number of community members and service providers requesting support and information about trans health and wellness. What the hell is trans health and wellness? Isn't just human health and wellness a thing? This could be a result of increased attention to trans stories in the mainstream media, which has raised awareness of the existence of trans identities and made it more comfortable to reach out for support. It may also be a result of recent positive momentum in areas related to LGBT rights. We can only speculate. Regardless, more than ever before, the timing is excellent for building the capacity of British Columbia to better serve trans and gender diverse individuals and their allied support networks. Okay, what is the Trans Right BC project? Oh my gosh. The Trans Rights BC project has reviewed trans-specific legal education resources that already exist, and lawyers involved with the project have referenced and reviewed human rights legislation for the province of British Columbia, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and other relevant policy statutes of relevance. Our team has developed content and accessible resources that reflect common concerns and align with current legislation. This website includes written and video resources on the top 2 rights-based issues most commonly faced. That's what I want to find. Where are those? Know your rights. Oh boy, let's see this. What are your rights, trans people in BC? Let's take a look. 'Cause I certainly don't fucking know. I don't know anything about you. Okay, fine. Trans people in British Columbia have... Wow, they have to say this. The right to go about our daily activities free from harassment and violence. Unfortunately, some people feel the need to gender police spaces like washrooms and change rooms. Hey! Unfortunately? Just a moment to calm myself down. Can you imagine this? Unfortunately. Do you think that maybe there's a reason for that? Do you think that maybe there's a reason that parents might be concerned about the usage of a trans woman in the usage of a women's washroom by a trans woman if her child is in there? Look, I think that if you want to use whatever washroom you feel like you want to, that's fine. Because there's stalls and stuff, you can lock yourself in, that's fine. But the idea is to be preventative of anything really bad that could take place, and that scenario is very clearly one of them. I mean, look at Jessica Yaniv, for fuck's sake. Look at the things that he allegedly was saying to 15-year-old girls. Oh, but I'm trans. So you can get away with fucked up shit in a bathroom or a change room, and you should be okay to go in there like it's just a normal thing. I don't know about this, maybe. Maybe I'm being a little bit too cunty, but come on. I think there are fair concerns with that. Even if you don't agree with the idea that there should be a separate bathroom or should be or whatever, there is cause to be concerned. People may become aggressive or call security if they believe someone is in the wrong space. I mean, it seems like this is more coming out of the trans community. You need to do this. You're in the wrong space. You're blah, 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 blah. See the harassment and violence section of this website for more information. Ugh. I'm trying not to be so about it, because I just think it's super annoying when anybody wants to push any of their shit in somebody's face and expects everybody else around them to change for them. Listen, ho. That shit's hard to do, okay? The right to live free from harassment. This means people cannot cause a general disturbance by yelling or swearing at us while we are out in public. People cannot threaten us with death or bodily harm. People cannot touch us to try to confirm our sex or gender. I need to know if that's ever happened. People cannot follow us, spy on us, or harass us by phone or email to the point where it is reasonable to fear for our personal safety or the safety of someone we love. The right to live free from violence. I mean, this is all human rights shit. This means people cannot beat us up or cause us any kind of physical harm. I mean, They can. Specifically, the right to live free from sexual assault. People cannot kiss us, have oral, anal, or vaginal sex with us, or touch us in a sexual way without our consent. This includes times when we cannot give our consent, for example, due to drug or alcohol use. It does not matter if the person is our romantic partner or spouse. Oh my gosh. You are compromised when you are on drugs and when you are on alcohol. And this is an argument I really hate when they say, oh, well, she was drunk. Listen, are you a fucking child or are you an adult? If you want to decrease the potential for dangerous situations occurring, or if you want to make sure you're at an adequate capacity to make the decision to fuck someone or not, don't drink around people you are not going to feel comfortable doing that with, because you might get a little drunk and you might get horny and you might want to fuck them. And then if you're going to get all upset about it and try and pull that shit back, well, guess whose problem that is? Yours. But guess who's going to get in trouble? The other person. Why? Because you're fucking trans or because you're a woman? Dude, enough of this bullshit. People need to hold themselves accountable for their own shit. The right to live free from intimate partner abuse. If you are dealing with intimate partner abuse and it happens more than once, dude, if it happens once, you should probably be aware, okay? Been in the situation, not good. It always escalates. If a person snaps one time and they're comfortable to hit you, it is way more likely that the second time that they snap at you, they will feel comfortable doing that, especially if you reward that behavior with taking them back and forgiving them immediately. Like, tyranny is within us. You know what I mean? We push people. We push people slowly every day, one little thing, every day, one little thing. And that's how tyranny happens. And if you can elicit that out of somebody where you're just pushing them and you're passing a line every single time, you will eventually break them and you will be able to fuck with them. It's very easy, okay? It's very easy to fuck with people, especially if you're close to them. How can you stand up for your rights if someone physically assaults you? While police officers and the courts can be helpful and respectful of trans people, many trans people report having negative experiences. Trans people often report that their concerns are not investigated properly or that they are not treated respectfully. This is especially true if the trans person is also Aboriginal, a person of color, or a sex worker. Being involved in the criminal justice process can be long and emotionally difficult. Like this is only a problem for trans people. At the same time, reporting a crime has benefits. You can get protection from further harassment or violence from your attacker. Also, your attacker may be less likely to victimize other people if their actions have consequences. I mean, that's kind of the whole entire point. Oh my God. Call the police or go to a police station in person. Keep detailed records about what happened to you. Keep notes about the case number and the name of the officer you spoke with. This is just like simple shit. Oh, wow, there's so much to read here. I might want to watch this. Should we check it out? Let's see. Let's check it out. Let's see what gobbledygook these guys want to feed me in 5 minutes.
Trans rights are already included in the BC Human Rights Code under the ground of sex. Sex includes gender, gender identity and expression, things like pregnancy, breastfeeding. They're not explicitly written in the legislation, but they've been read into the law through cases. And a problem with not having gender identity or gender expression explicitly written in there is that a lot of people, when they read the legislation, they don't realize that their rights are already protected. So I think it's important to note that gender identity and gender expression, which has been read into the ground of sex.
What is the hair color thing about? Like, I try not to, you know, there's always like this thing with feminists. Oh my God, blue hair. Why is it that like these SJW types always dye their hair some crazy color? Like, I always feel like I'm bored of myself. I don't feel like I'm loud enough. Something about me isn't loud, so I need to do something externally that's loud. Is that what it is? Like, is it like, oh, look at me, I'm wild and crazy, I have purple hair? Or like, what is the thinking behind this? Do they just like colored hair? I need to know, Because it's just such a prevalent thing. Blue, purple, green. Somebody give me answers. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold up. There.
In the Human Rights Code does not talk about women and men or girls and boys. It talks about gender as a fluid concept. That gender is different from and differentiated from sex. And
fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. It's not. And I fucking totally disagree with that. All right, let me see. So, you guys remember the Ontario Human Rights Commission? This was the huge thing that Jordan Peterson got in shit with while saying, I'm not going to use your pronouns. Oh boy. Draft definitions. Actually, what I want to see. Gender identity and gender expression brochure. I know none of these things. Are we ready to look at how stupid this shit is? People who are transgender or gender non-conforming come from all walks of life, yet they are one of the most disadvantaged groups in society. Trans people routinely experience discrimination, harassment, and even violence because their gender identity or gender expression is different from their birth-assigned sex. Birth-assigned. I love how they make it sound like people are putting these titles on them. Like, we decide you are a male. We are assigning you with the gender or sex of male. Birth-assigned. For fuck's sake. Under the Ontario Human Rights Code, the code, people are protected from discrimination and harassment because of gender identity and gender expression in employment, housing, facilities and services, contracts, and membership in unions, trade, or professional associations, which I definitely agree with. It's good. It is good to have protections for people who are a little bit different because I can understand or see that it's easier to discriminate against them. But I'm sorry, you trans activists out there are not doing trans people a favor. You're just super cunty. Gender identity is each person's internal and individual experience of gender. It is their sense of being a woman, a man, both, neither, or anywhere along the gender spectrum. A person's gender identity may be the same as or different from their birth-assigned sex. Gender identity is fundamentally different from a person's sexual orientation. Gender expression is how a person publicly presents their gender. Okay. This can include behavior. Holy crap. So are you trying to tell me that you can have a different gender identity and a different gender expression? Oh my gosh. This can include behavior and outward appearance such as dress, hair, makeup, body, language, and voice. A person's chosen name and pronoun are also common ways of expressing gender. Trans or transgender is an umbrella term referring to people with diverse gender identities and expressions that differ from stereotypical gender norms. Stereotypical gender norms. It includes but is not limited to people who identify as transgender, trans women, male to female, trans man, female to male, transsexual, cross-dresser, gender non-conforming, gender variant, or gender queer. Discrimination happens when a person experiences negative treatment or impact, intentional or not. What? Because of their gender identity or gender expression. Wait, isn't this kind of a critical thing? Am I going crazy? Is intention not important? Intentional or not. Okay. Because of their gender identity or gender expression. It can be direct and obvious or subtle and hidden, but harmful just the same. It can also happen on a bigger systemic level, such as organizational rules or policies that look neutral but end up excluding trans people. Friends or family or others who face discrimination because of their association with a trans person are also protected. Harassment. Okay. Oh man, holy shit. This is fucking long. Harassment is a form of discrimination. It can include sexually explicit or other inappropriate comments, questions, jokes, name-calling, images, email, and social media, transphobic, homophobic, or other bullying sexual advances, touching, and other unwelcome and ongoing behavior that insults, demeans, harms, or threatens a person in some way. Assault or other violent behavior is also a criminal matter. Trans people and other persons can experience harassing behavior because of their gender identity or expression, gender-based harassment, and or their sex, sexual harassment. Social stereotypes about gender and prejudice and fear towards trans people are often at the root of discrimination and harassment. Negative attitudes about a trans person's racial identity, family status, or other grounds can combine or intersect to make things worse. Oh, man. Can intersect to make things worse. No, it's just the person's interpretation of their own situation that makes it worse. Oh, good Lord. This shit is so stupid. An organization should have a valid reason for collecting and using personal information that identifies a person's gender. They should keep this information confidential. Trans people can have their name or sex designation changed on identity documents and other records. The criteria and process should not be intrusive or medically based. Yikes, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? The criteria and process should not be intrusive or medically based, but it's inaccurate. Dude, it's inaccurate to have on your identification, if you're going to a doctor's office and your identity says female, but you clearly have male parts. Like, your doctor's supposed to know that stuff. It has to be medically based. This needs to be scientific. Am I going crazy here? Am I just being an asshole? Like, what is happening that this designation should not be medically based? Do they mean medically by, like, some sort of medical condition? Because I would think that the female or male designation has a lot to do with medicine, especially in that context, but perhaps I'm making no sense. Perhaps I'm being just a total bigot. I don't know. Trans people should have access to washrooms, change rooms, and other gender-specific services and facilities based on their lived gender identity. Okay, I need to know, people. I need to know. Please, people, give me some of your thoughts on the idea of a shared bathroom or shared change rooms. Let's do this. Talk to me. Good morning. I see more people. Oh my god, guess who I see? I see Schman. And I see Lancy Pantsy. And I'm still looking. Bathroom is okay, I think. Well, Chris, come on. I need you to exit Minecraft and come and join me. I need you. Can you please just be here for me right now? I'm trans. Don't deny me. Can I use my trans privilege, please? Oh my god. Here. This is what I'm going to do. You ready? This is what's happening right now. Where are you? Where are you? I don't think there should be any shared showers or shared change rooms. I mean, just put up a fucking wall, go into a stall, whatever. Desegregate the spaces and move on. Yeah, I do understand and I do agree with that. I don't like, well, shared showers, you mean like how you see in movies, like where all the guys shower in one space, where all the girls shower in one space. I mean, I don't care if there's shared bathrooms, if there's separate stalls and you can close yourself off from the person. At that point, does it even matter? Not really. A lot of places like Starbucks, for example, have single bathrooms that either a male or a female can use. Oh. Oh my gosh, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah. Good morning. Oh, I'm so glad right now.
Hello.
Hi, Jamie. I see you too, but I suppose you're just listening. Have you been listening to this stupid shit that I'm reading about trans rights, which just seems like every other right that every other person has?
Yeah.
I see nothing special about it, so I don't understand the hubbub.
I have to say, this is Canada, isn't it? It's a Canadian thing.
Yeah, so everything I'm looking at right now is everything in BC pertaining to the trans issue, because I actually have absolutely no idea how any of these things go. Because he mentioned a lot of stuff in that interview with Blaire about like, well, this is the BC law and this is this, and that. And I was like, well, maybe I should take a look and see what
No,
this...
but I got the impression that Blaire White was quite correct that Jessica Yaniv, I don't know what to do with the designation.
Yeah.
It was just she was just sort of playing on the law. The law's clearly been written with prevention of discrimination against people with genuine, issues.
Yeah.
So whereas he was just exploiting that law for his own purposes, and and to be honest, it's the fault of the lawmakers for making a law laws or legislation that's so easy to interpret sort of nebulously so that it can be exploited. I think maybe legislation like that needs to exist, maybe, but I think it needs to have much more specific language to prevent people like Jessica Yaniv from becoming a problem, which she clearly is. He clearly is.
Yeah,
it
and
clearly is.
if they're gonna roll out stuff that isn't written with everything in mind, including these issues of taking advantage of the system, I don't know what they're thinking to accomplish, but I think there's probably a fear of even saying like, oh, there might be people who take advantage, because then it'll be seen as discrimination.
Well, the thing is, I mean, the word discrimination's got a bit of a fucking dirty connotation these days, and that's stupid, because to get through life in any kind of reasonable way, you have to discriminate.
Yeah.
You have to. Discrimination isn't a bad thing.
No, it's like judging, right?
Exactly. Discrimination's bad when you're discriminating for bad reasons, but discriminating for healthy reasons is healthy. So I think the way that the sort of the language around these sorts of things has become, I don't know, tainted is kind of the problem, really, because discrimination, when it comes to discriminating against somebody specifically like Jessica Yaniv, is fine. I think, anyway. But not just fine, necessary.
I just stopped talking because there's a bit of an echo, and it like comes and goes because I don't know why it always does that. I blame Discord. But anyway, so this is going to be the problem moving forward with these cases, is that they're making it difficult to discriminate in the correct way due to abhorrent and obviously advantage-taking behavior. And if they keep getting away with stupid stuff like this, and I hate saying they, but, good morning, Banksy, I see you. It's going to continue to set a bad precedent, and then more people are going to feel like they can do this. And it just seems like, with this case in particular, it just kind of paves the way for the kind of behavior that's totally not okay, like him messaging 15-year-old girls and talking really creepy shit. Like,
I mean, and I'm not obviously not disbelieving that, and judging from that conversation with Blaire White, I can quite believe that person would do something like that. But what I find a bit interesting is that those sorts of things are also illegal in Canada.
Yeah.
So why hasn't the law got involved with that? If it is true, and I'm not saying it isn't true, but if it is true, then why has the law not got involved there? Because the law was very quick to get involved when she fucking brandished a taser.
That's exactly what I was just about to say as you were saying that. Like, how interesting that they'll freak out over a taser and they'll show up at his house and
but that's my point. That's exactly my point. We don't really know. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. We don't really know that those other allegations are anything other than hearsay.
I agree, but what I'm saying is that should probably be the thing that you're looking into as well. There's nothing about any investigation into any of that action.
Yeah, I know, but how do you know that they're not? How do you know that hasn't happened?
That's true. It just hasn't been reported yet.
Well, exactly. They wouldn't. The police wouldn't release a report on something they'd investigated and found not to be true.
Mm-hmm.
But why would anybody know that? I mean,
That's true.
is there like a list of everything the police investigate in Vancouver every single day? I doubt there is.
No, I just made the poor assumption that like if anything was going to
Don't
happen.
misunderstand me. I feel like from that conversation that woman clearly is capable of doing those things, and I would be very surprised.
That woman?
Whatever. I'd be very surprised if there isn't at least some smoke, some fire to that particular smoke. But there's no evidence of that, and I don't know. You know me. I like to jump on it if there's evidence.
Yeah,
but
I
if there
agree.
isn't evidence, I prefer to remain skeptical, even though I might have my own personal feelings about it, which in this case is clearly that what you was implying, that it clearly did have something to do. There's clearly something there. I would have said, but
So what do you feel about the receipts? You watched the entire stream, right, with Blaire White?
I did, but I've not really seen any.
Oh, you haven't seen the articles or anything that have any of the screenshots of the messages that were sent?
Nothing. Like that conversation with Blaire White, apart from things that I've just heard, third hand over the internet or whatever. That's the first real exposure I've had to that person sort of directly.
Yeah, well, I was looking up stuff before because there was another story. Do you remember Lindsay Shepherd by chance?
I follow Lindsay Shepherd on YouTube.
Okay, so
I've done ever since that thing where she got chucked out of wherever for quoting Jordan Peterson.
So
she's
she
an interesting
recently
girl.
got kicked off of Twitter because of Jessica Yaniv.
Oh, she did. Yeah, that's the first time recently actually that I've heard anything about Jessica Yaniv, when she actually released that video. Lindsay did about what happened there.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't follow her on Twitter for some reason, but I do now.
Follow who? Yaniv?
No, Jessica. What's her face?
Lindsay Shepherd?
Sorry, Lindsay Shepherd.
I thought she got kicked off of Twitter. So she's back now?
No, she got her Twitter back within 24 hours.
Oh, good, because there was an article that I read that said she's been suspended, like permanently suspended. So I was just like, what in the world is happening? Like, look at the things.
Well, no, this you see, and this is it with people jumping to conclusions. These articles get written very fucking quickly.
Yeah.
And in the event, in the sort of, I don't know, whatever it was, 12 hours, that was what Twitter said had happened. But because of the Ferrari that she managed to whip up, or maybe because Twitter actually looked into it properly, she actually got her account back very quickly.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because I just found it stupid how Yaniv got no punishment whatsoever for what it said to Lindsay Shepherd, but Lindsay Shepherd got a suspension. I don't think it's fair that you can hide behind the "I'm trans" and get away with stuff, because that's what it seems to be. And like, if you're already somebody who's going to create issues out of nothing, people are going to be fucking afraid of you, right? They don't want to start shit with you.
In that case with Lindsay Shepherd, I don't really understand why Twitter was so quick to punish Lindsay, but didn't sort of wield that exact same punishment against that fucking weird man beast thing, because there were and bear in mind what Lindsay didn't start the sort of insults that were being thrown. I mean, I think the first thing that was said was some sort of comment about Lindsay Shepherd's sort of reproductive organs because she had trouble bearing a child or some shit.
Yes.
And so that's when Lindsay Shepherd responded with something, rather sort of snipey and offensive regarding the trans issue, and that's when Twitter got involved, which was stupid.
But it wasn't the trans issue. It was a particular comment to Jessica Yaniv calling her a man.
Is that what it was? I don't
Yes.
know. Like I said, I don't think she actually got any explanation as to exactly what it was specifically that.
But it was in retaliation to something Yaniv said first.
I know.
And that's what's so silly about it. And that these are the precedents that are constantly set with these types of people who obviously have some kind of special group privilege or some sort of privilege where they can get away saying things to people and behaving the way that they do, and they're protected by the label of trans. Like, I'm sorry, dude, you're still just a person. If you're gonna be an asshole, you're being an asshole. How much more difficult does this need to be? It doesn't. But I mean, lawmakers.
I'm of the opinion that trans people and basically any fucking minority does not need their own fucking rules. I think we should have one set of rules that applies to everybody.
Right.
And somewhere in those rules should be don't be a cunt to other people because of their, their individual physical or mental circumstances. But it doesn't need to be. There don't need to be specific rules for trans people.
No, like to single them out as something different and not like all the things that I read so far.
The thing is that the power that you're giving them there is bound to generate people like Jessica Yaniv. It just
exactly.
is.
Of course it is.
That's obviously what's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's quite a surprise that it hasn't happened sooner, given Canada's apparently very fucking liberal, transgender rules.
Yeah, I mean, I think Canada is a little bit, I don't know. The need to be inclusive is great. It sounds great on its face, but what they're effectively doing by being inclusive is they're excluding other groups.
Oh, I can see that disgusting little fairy tales in the chat.
Fairy tales? Tales!
Fairy, tales.
Tales. Can we just call them fairy tales? I think that just works.
I can say fairy tale. That is pretty cool.
I like fairy tales. Hi, fairy tales. Good morning. He's a cutie.
Poor Tales. He's got this wonderfully constructed sort of Tales from the intellectual dark web name. We shortened it to Tales, and now he's Fairy Tales.
That's funny. I actually told him that he was Clefairy. We were having a conversation. I can't remember how it started. I asked him. He asked me, what Pokemon would you be? Or if you were a Pokemon, you'd be this? And I was like, dude, you'd be Clefairy. Or Snorlax. Something like that. Or Ghastly. Am I the only Pokemon nerd here? I used to watch that when I was a teenager.
I mean, I know some of them. I watched that film with... Is it Ryan Reynolds? Was it Ryan Reynolds? Is that...
There's a new one? Is it live action?
The new one. Yeah, I watched it.
You dork. And was it good?
It wasn't bad, to be honest. I mean, I was quite surprised. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah. Ender, I see you. Andy Wiggin. Man, you've been around for a long time, pretty much from the beginning of this channel. But anyways, back to the trans issue. So I don't actually, let's see. Did I tell you? I haven't told you, but this is the stupidest shit I've ever heard, ever. And that is that Aboriginals have their own terminology for trans, and it's called two-spirited. Did you know that?
What do you mean by Aboriginal? Sorry.
Native American, Native Indian, I guess, would be the way to distinguish them.
I'm pretty sure call them Native Indians racist, but who cares?
I don't really care. We're talking about feather, not dot. Okay.
Do you mean the native people of Canada? Are we still talking about Canada?
Yes,
right,
we're only talking about Canada. Fuck every other country right now. It's about Canada.
Wow, that's unusual for you.
I know. I'm just trying to figure out these damn trans laws right now. But yeah, they're called two-spirited people.
Yeah, that sounds stupid.
I mean, yes, it is very stupid. I don't even know where to go with that. I want to try and be nice, but like the more I read this stuff, the more I'm like, this is all just super obvious. Like, how badly are trans people being treated that we need to tell people or remind people like, hey, these people are human beings. Like, I doubt.
Again, people are always going to treat people badly who are different. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's the way that people are.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not happening as much as these people are saying it's happening, especially here. People are
Oh.
pretty chill. Like,
Yeah, I was
in
going to say nowadays. No, I don't think it is because nobody really gives a. If say you're a transgender person doing a job, no one gives a fuck if you're transgender. They care if you can do your job.
exactly. And the other thing that I don't understand about this issue, as I've said it a million times already, is it's so amazing with this Yaniv person that they are willing to forego their own self-interest just for making a fucking problem. So if you don't have the correct genitalia to get the services that are offered, and you're still trying to push it as a I just want services issue when there's clearly a safety issue that's involved, what are you doing? You're working against your own interests. Why would you want to go for a wax that could actually injure you so badly?
The thing with somebody like that as well is they're so clearly, really, their actual motivation is clearly because they're a predatory individual.
Yes.
That's obviously what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't because they really want acknowledgement
Right.
as a real woman. It's
Exactly.
because they want to feel the power of being able to impose themselves on other women, on real women, in that way.
Yeah.
And that makes them a predator.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's and I'm not even saying that's necessarily really what's going on, but that's what it fucking looks like.
Mm-hmm. What a weird world we live in that men dress as women to feel
You got
powerful
a
now.
donation.
Yeah, cool, right?
Donation.
Does it make a noise? Is it like bring?
It does on the stream, but it doesn't in here because we're in Discord.
Yeah, of course. Okay, good. Good. It's so fun playing with these things. I actually really like it. I wish I used it before, but that's aside from the point. So look at this shit. Suggested catalog searches: Indian gays, Indian lesbians, Indians of North America, lesbians North America, two-spirit people. Let's check what two-spirit people is. Are you excited, Chris? Oh no, wait. Oh my god, there's legit books about it? No, that's not what we want.
You see, and I think I've seen Dan say this in the chat. I just generally feel like it's a good idea to just treat all people with relatively equal contempt and just go from there.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
So start by assuming every single person is an asshole.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who they want to fuck, what they want to look like. They're just all assholes.
Yeah,
They might be pretty,
being
they might be
trans
ugly.
doesn't make you like some kind of saint, which I think.
No, it doesn't make you virtuous just by
Exactly.
by being trans. It's just.
But I feel like that's what people think is like the identity has some weird association of like, oh, oppressed, oh, innocent, oh, I didn't do anything, because I'm trans. How could I have possibly done anything? The world hates me. So I'm just virtuous by virtue of being this.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is, to a certain extent, they can get away with that as well. That they're allowed to get away with that.
But that's a bad precedent that's being set.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to be set if these laws continue to be this way. They're just so loose, and they're not even like, where in the law. I was reading a couple of bills yesterday because I was trying to take a look at this gender identity issues, and it's like, where in the law is it that if you are pretending to be the gender of another kind to like engage in predatory behavior, it's not okay? If that's not like explicitly written down, I mean, I feel like more people are going to take advantage of that situation, of that issue. Why wouldn't they? Especially creepy dudes who like kids. They're out there. They're out there.
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, Blaire White was speaking to one the other day.
Yeah, and that is very terrifying. Like, this guy was talking about menstruating. I have a dick and balls and a vagina. He was trying to tell me.
I can't understand that because that isn't a thing.
No.
So why would you like? That's not a thing ever in the history of ever. So why would this person want to claim that? That just make that if nothing else, that's the starting point from when you can say this person is definitely a liar.
Yeah.
So what else are they lying about?
I actually I don't know how I felt about Blaire. It was kind of funny. I thought it was interesting they called it a debate though.
It wasn't a debate.
No.
But the thing is, we've had this before where people have wanted to talk to you and claim it was a debate, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's
I don't
not a
know what the
debate.
deal is. Is it just to make yourself sound smart or something? What is the need of calling it a debate? Is it something that attracts people? Is it like what are
No,
those
no,
things?
it legitimizes it as a sort of form of discourse, doesn't it? That's valuable if you
Yeah.
call it a debate, I guess.
I felt like it was very. I mean, I liked Blaire. I thought it was funny. The whole thing was her just calling out Jessica Yaniv, and it was hilarious because as soon as Jessica Yaniv said something that was so obviously a lie, she'd be like, "No, no, you're not. No, you're not. You shouldn't do that. You're fucking creeping on 15-year-old girls. Why are you asking girls about how they use pads and tampons and all this kind of stuff? Why are you sending voice notes talking to someone like a baby?" And then the response was, "Oh, I sent that to my friend. I have no idea how this other girl got those." And it's like the screenshot shows your name with a verified check mark and all the text and the voice note. And you're saying your friend sent it. You're saying, oh, you can forward messages on Facebook and that's fine. But in the text exchange, there's no forward. It indicates whether something has been forwarded. That was not there. I guess you haven't seen it. I should maybe find that for you so I can share some of the screenshots of that. But I remember reading that and looking through it. And I hope that someone didn't just pluck it out of nowhere, but the name was on top. And it was dressed as a male. Jonathan is the name that he was using.
And to be honest, that's the other thing. Sorry to get overly skeptical.
No, it's fine.
But this culture of accepting screenshots as being like
I know.
a form of evidence sort of really needs to stop. I mean, I'm terrible with photo manipulation tools, and even I can fucking change the content of a screenshot of messages and make it look like something it isn't. I'm not saying in this case that's what's happened.
Right.
But you have to look at it with at least a certain amount of skepticism. However, in the light of that conversation with Blaire White, again, that would make such messages and such screenshots a hell of a lot more believable.
That's what I'm saying. So pertaining to every other case, I would agree. I don't think it's a good idea to have, screenshots out there. And this is coming from me, okay? Let's just be very aware of that. I'm very aware of the screenshot shit. But at the same time, yes, in light of that conversation with Blaire and just the way that she responded to it responded to questions. You know what? I have no problem generally referring to you with whatever pronoun you want me to, but if you're that much of an asshole, I cannot respect you enough to acquiesce to your request.
My problem is I'll just say whatever I say because I refuse to even consider thinking about it. I don't really give a fuck what gender you are, what gender you want to be called. I'll say whatever comes into my head first, and I won't stop my train of thought to change my fucking gender pronoun that I'm using.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole thing is crazy too, that you can be like, hey, I feel like a girl, now I'm a girl. Actually, I'm a man now, so actually I'm this. Actually, I'm that. I don't like the idea that gender and sex are like separate things. That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense because there's clear conceptual overlay there.
I think people are definitely over intellectualizing these ideas.
I don't like the idea of the word intellectual being near these ideas, but I understand.
Well, there's no need for it to be, is there? That's the problem. It's two very distinct, obvious things that have been split into or attempted to be split into a myriad of other things, just to, I don't know, just to try and sort of speak to the sort of mental malfunctions of a very, very, very small minority of society.
Okay, so according to Ontario Human Rights, I already read gender identity. So gender identity and expression can be two separate things. However, then it's either like there are character traits that are identified by a certain sex or they're not at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why gender expression and gender identity need to be different things if it's a fluid thing. Neither category should own any characterization or behavior at all, or expression. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I say, it's the fact that so much thought goes into this.
I
so
know!
much,
You have to go through mental gymnastics to even figure out what the fuck is happening.
It's fucking depressing because
yes.
like even to listen to what you just said and to try and get into the mindset of the person that wrote something like that.
Yeah.
It's frustrating for me personally because I don't fucking think like that. I don't want to think like that. I don't think that those ideas have any real, not necessarily validity, but any sort of utility in the world. Not really.
No.
It's just all fucking busy work for people.
Yes, because it's just
like virtuous.
This
it's annoying.
Is an inaccurate representation of reality. That is my largest contention with it. It's inaccurate. Like, as I was saying in the beginning, there are reasons that certain things are associated with certain things. There are trends we see in the world, and we label things based on what we observe, mostly, right? Like, to now say, well, this isn't like this because I feel like this, it's bullshit. Not my fucking problem. So let's check this out. Obviously, now what they've done is they've gone and they have defined every single term in the Ontario Human Rights Code. So, draft glossary of terms. Sex. The biological classification of people as male or female. Sex is usually assigned by a doctor. First of all, your sex is not assigned by your doctor. It's assigned by your genitals. Oh, that's so weirdly worded.
It's like, well, what? So what if a woman gave birth without a doctor present? You know, that is possible.
Right? Then what's...
So what? I could just give birth to an amorphous blob that has no sex.
Sex amorphous blob. AB. And look at this. Sex is usually assigned by a doctor at birth and is based on a visual assessment of external anatomy. I mean, what else is there?
I mean, in fact, it does say usually assigned. But assigned is the wrong word.
Assigned is the wrong word.
It's that's the problem there, really. It's the word assigned. It's like no one assigns it. It is I don't know. I don't even feel the desire to explain what's obvious about deciding if a baby's male or female.
All right, let's continue. So in BC, I think it was last year sometime, the first baby was born that was not designated with a gender. Did you hear about that story? So there was a lesbian couple here, and they fought the government about putting that M or F designation on the child's birth certificate because they're like, we want our kid to decide what their gender is. And it's like...
Yeah, no, see, this might sound a bit harsh, but I think parents who do things like that are guilty of child abuse, and they should have the child took off them.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. I think that's there's no way that child isn't going to grow up to be fucked up.
No kidding. Gender, the social classification of people as masculine or feminine. While sex is an assigned classification, but you also... Okay, gender is something that becomes evident in a social context. Okay. Intersex. People who are not easily classified as male or female based on their physical characteristics at birth or after puberty. The word replaces the inappropriate term hermaphrodite. Isn't that a scientific classification? How is that inappropriate?
Why? Because it makes people feel bad. I mean, and it's fair enough. Intersex is a thing that like 0.00001% of the human body. Maybe not that, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
The very, very small amount of people are, and it is actually a thing.
Yes.
But it's not actually a thing that anybody would really know about unless
the
an
person says
intersex
it.
person actually says it.
Right.
Because by people like that, people who are intersex, are once they're wearing clothes, are generally identifiable as one gender or another. You'd have to really dig into it to find out that they're not. Ew. That'd be a nasty surprise, wouldn't it?
Intersex, okay, cross-dresser, a person who, for emotional and psychological well-being, dresses in clothing usually associated with the opposite sex.
So, but notice it doesn't say that the inappropriate term for that would be transvestite, because that's what I think that is.
Isn't that is correct though?
Yeah, that's what I would. Yeah.
I think it's so funny that like, how can you, so associated with the opposite sex, but if sex is the classification of reproductive organs and gender is the social classification of people as masculine or feminine, a cross-dresser is dressing in clothing usually associated with the opposite gender. So these
I was going to say gender, not sex, yeah.
So these people aren't even using their own terminology correctly. They're defining things for us, and then in the very next example, or the second example after, they're not even using their own language correctly, and they expect us to keep track of people's pronouns? Dude, give me a break. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, it's very hypocritical.
Yeah. And to, like, do you not have people who edit your shit? Like, if you're going to redefine words, maybe you should be the example of how those words are used.
This website that you're looking at clearly looks like it was made in fucking baby's first web designing class, so they
Chris,
probably don't have an editor.
It is Ontario Human Rights Commission official website.
It genuinely looks like a website from, like, 2001.
I
It's
know,
weird.
it really does. Okay, so, trans. An umbrella term used to describe people who, to varying degrees, do not conform to what society usually defines as a man or a woman. This inclusive category is used by many who also identify as transgender, transsexual, cross-dressers, and others. Okay, so you can use the word trans to describe a cross-dresser or somebody who's also intersex? Like, what?
You see, yeah, that seems... That's so weird.
Doesn't it give you a fucking headache? Like, this shit is so ridiculous. All right, so there's trans, okay, Chris? And right below that, there's transgender.
I know.
People whose life experience includes existing in more than one gender. This may include people who identify as transsexual and people who describe themselves as being on a gender spectrum or as living outside the categories of man or woman. Okay, so what is there outside of man or woman, by the way? Can anybody give me that answer? Are there more than two genders or sexes? I don't think so. So what is living?
Obviously not. I don't know. The thing is, this is such a lot of effort to go through to solve a very, very small problem.
Yes.
Not even a problem that I think, especially fucking Canada, even really has.
No.
Honestly,
if somebody was discriminated against, you go to the cops, you'd make your case, and like every other person who could get discriminated, they deal with it if they think it's worth dealing with. But adding all this fucking ridiculousness on top of something that is already so small to make it more big than it actually is just so... Why are you complexifying something that doesn't need to be like this? So transgender.
I'm almost positive complexifying isn't a word.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. Transgender, and then the next one is transsexual. A person whose biological sex assigned at birth does not match their gender identity. Christopher, that typing. They may seek or undergo one or more medical treatments to align their bodies with their internally felt gender identity, such as hormone therapy, sex reassignment surgery, or other procedures. They may also undertake other changes to align their external attributes and appearance with their internally felt gender identity. Oh my fucking gosh. So transgender refers to the gender spectrum. Transsexual refers to the actual transitioning into whatever sex you think you are. Dude, same fucking shit.
I'll be honest, I kind of switched off.
Switched what off?
Like,
your brain?
Switched off listening to any of that. It's like... I don't see the need for any of these words
No.
for a normal, healthy human being to use in an actual conversation about things.
Exactly. I don't think we'll ever hear about this shit ever again. So, transition. Transitioning refers to a host of activities that trans people may pursue to affirm their gender identity. This may include changes to their name, dress, the use of gender pronouns, and may or may not include other physical changes such as the use of medication and surgery. Transitioning may take time to complete for some or may be an ongoing process for others. Transphobia. Oh, wait, two-spirit. An English language umbrella term for a range of people in some First Nations and Aboriginal cultures that identify as carrying both a male and female spirit. This term may include gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. Transphobia. An irrational fear or hatred of trans people. Like other prejudices, it is based on negative stereotypes and misconceptions that are used to justify discrimination, harassment, and violence towards trans people. What if they're behaving like assholes and they're justifying the reasons to be violent against them?
I hate this. I hate this habit that we've got of sticking the word phobia on the back of something and saying that means hatred, because it fucking doesn't.
Yeah.
A phobia is an irrational fear. It does actually get that right, but that's not how people use the word.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I should write the Ontario Human Rights Commission. I just want to ask them questions. I would just love to get.
I think you should keep your own province in check first, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that the province, like these Ontario human rights things, I think is a lot of where any of the rights here are modeled after. Look, they have another one in a brochure: gender identity, gender expression, trans or transgender. See, so in this brochure, they put those two things together. And the last thing that we read, which is part of the same website, they made them separate. So, man, what a fuck show.
Lance just said in the chat, this is a good point. Is it okay to rationally hate trans people?
Yeah, I say yes. Derp.
I would say it. I'd say it's good. It's good to rationally hate anybody.
I was gonna say hating anybody or hating everybody right off the bat is kind of more rational, right? Like you should work from the most negative, and they should have to earn that positive idea of themselves in your mind. That's what I think. All right, so this is another one that I found. Canadian Human Rights Commission. Key issues, LGBTQ2I+. What the fuck is that?
Right, and that can fuck off as well.
Yeah.
I'll give the LGBT, all right, but as soon as you get to the Q, I lose interest.
Mm-hmm.
The word queer is not meant to be taken seriously by me in any way, in any context.
Changes to the way transgender offenders are accommodated in Canada's federal prison system. What? Changes to the way transgender offenders are accommodated in Canada's federal prison system. An important collaboration spanning several years between the Correctional Services of Canada, blah, 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 and prisoners, blah, 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 has resulted in changes to the way transgender offenders are accommodated in Canada's federal prison system. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. In the context of its daily operations, CSC will continue to provide education and awareness to staff and offenders and work to ensure that the health, safety, and dignity of everyone is respected at all times. New operational practices for CSC include placing an offender in a men's or women's institution according to their gender identity, if it is their preference, regardless of their anatomy or gender on their identification documents, unless they are overriding health or safety concerns which cannot be resolved. Wow. Using an offender's preferred name and pronoun in all oral interaction and written documentation. So here's a weird question, because what if you're gender fluid and your birth certificate says female, you present as a male, but you're just going to say you're female, and then like nothing has to match. Nothing has to match, Chris. If you can be put in a prison cell based on what you identify as, regardless of what is on your birth certificate, which is fucking irrelevant because they're saying we're going to go with what you identify as, then what the fuck is happening?
the thing is that what annoys me about the prison thing is that the people understand that in prison's meant to be a punishment.
No
If you don't want to go
kidding.
to prison, don't break the fucking law, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
certain things, and I think the way you identify should be one of them that just become invalidated once you commit a crime and get prosecuted for it. It's tough fucking shit. Now, I do actually agree that, like, post-op trans women and men should go to they should go to the prison of the genitalia that they've got. But apart from that, no. Prison should actually be down to genitals.
Yeah.
The end.
Yes, precisely.
And yes, it is unfortunate for some usually trans women who are actually men that can put them in sometimes a very bad position. But to those people, I would say, don't commit crimes.
Look at this.
If you're transitioning from one sex or gender or whatever to another, try not being a criminal at the same time. It's quite a fucking major psychological thing to sort of go from one gender to another. So try not committing crime at the same time, and you'll be fine then. You won't get raped in a prison, but you might get raped in a prison if you commit crime.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like, how is this not obvious?
Offering individualized protocols for offenders who seek to be accommodated on the basis of gender identity or expression to ensure, among other things, the safety, privacy, and dignity of an offender when they access shower and or toilet facilities, the choice of male or female, like, oh my gosh. You're a criminal, but because you're trans, we want you to feel comfortable here. So you get to pick whether you want male or female staff attending to you. You have to let us know. Like, this is retarded. You're a criminal. Who cares if you're trans? Who cares?
It's not that I don't think that criminals have some rights, but rights like these are.
But these aren't rights, Chris.
Well,
this is luxuries.
I was going to say these are more like privileges than rights.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you break the law, there's a certain level of social privilege that you're just not entitled to anymore.
Exactly. That's how it's supposed to be.
That should include deciding what gender you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fucking restaurant, for God's sakes.
No, this is crazy.
Like, in fact, even in a restaurant, it wouldn't be acceptable to say, actually, no, I don't want a man serving me food. I want a woman serving me food. You can fucking say that.
Oh, this is so crazy. I mean, like, again, once you commit a crime, dude. You're a criminal. Why are we accommodating this kind of stuff? There might be a situation where it's better for a trans person to be in fucking prison.
No, I agree. And somebody in the chat said rape is not a valid punishment for crime. Knock that shit off. Nobody's saying it is. The criminals in jail shouldn't rape other fucking prisoners. I'm not saying they should. But
Dan just said, oh my god, do the crime, then identify how you'd like to do the time. No shit, it's so stupid. Oh boy. Maybe it was a bad thing to look into this. Because it's a little bit disappointing to see, like, let's afford this special group privileges. And by the way, do you not think that other people who broke the law and who are getting in trouble would also like to choose whether they have male or female staff? If I was a prisoner and I was seeing this happening or made aware of this somehow, I would just change my gender right there and be like, I'm a female. I want to be strip searched by a female.
A lot of people do that.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's the fucking problem. And I don't understand how they don't see it as a problem.
This is a clear and obvious loophole, for God's sakes.
And I feel like Ontario Human Rights just kind of pushed it out. You know what I mean? There was like this hot button issue that happened. Jordan Peterson was like, I'm not going to say your words. And they're like, oh, you know what we should do? We just need to draft up something that that just looks good enough that we can push out, that doesn't actually address the dark sides of putting into law something like this. Some people prefer prison sex over regular sex. Don't discriminate or assume people's preferences. Oh my God. Oh my God. We're not supposed to care about people's preferences in jail. Okay, Dan? That's not how it works. Oh, my goodness. It just makes me want to call some of these places. I want to call one of these places and be like, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. And then 2 seconds later, be like, hi. Sorry,
So,
I
Riley,
have this thing where I change genders.
There's no point in even remotely trying to engage in this sort of thing, really, because to be honest, you run far too much of a risk of getting yourself in trouble just trying to have the conversation, and it's just not worth it.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
even having this conversation's, slightly, it might be classed as contentious in some way.
Well,
but
I'm sure, but who cares?
It should be obvious to anybody who's fucking listening that neither of us hate anybody.
No.
Like, that's really not what this is about. But just because somebody's part of a class of people, if you like, that historically have been discriminated against, that doesn't mean that in present day they deserve more rights than everybody else to try and somehow make up for it.
No.
Somehow.
It doesn't.
That's fucking stupid.
Very
and you
stupid.
see that across the board, with feminism, with women wanting more rights than men.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's because that's exactly it's a very similar sort of mindset.
I mean, does everybody need to actually live in a patriarchal, discriminatory society to understand that things here in the Western world are actually pretty fucking peachy keen? Because, like, as an Indian woman, Chris, like, I see absolutely no problem with any of the rights we're afforded or any of the privileges we have. I mean, compared to living in an Indian family, that's just an example, right? That's very restrictive and actually patriarchal, just to keep in line with the feminism example. It's so silly that these people think, it's like they're so bored. They're recreationally creating problems for themselves. And it's like, dude, you are your own problem. Fix yourself.
They're creating problems and then recreationally creating the solutions.
Yeah, exactly.
Or using the fact that the manufactured problems need solutions to give themselves a job. It's just fucking pathetic.
Yeah.
And what's even worse is countries like Canada, not just Canada, the UK as well, very specifically, and probably the United States to a very large extent, panders to these people, and it drives me insane. And it's this kind of mentality, if anything, that's going to contribute to the fall of Western civilization.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's irritating that people can't see that, but I mean, luckily there does seem to be a good amount of people who think about these things sensibly as well. So there's there is a good handbrake in there for emergency use at some point. Depends if they use it or not.
Yeah, but the further that the communication breaks down and the further that these people take words and try to make them more than what they are, and the more they try to complicate the issue, the more difficult it is going to be to communicate with people who are actually worth communicating with about this. And not only that, it's lawmakers and people who are in positions of power that are actually doing this language manipulation shit and making terminology up and using different terminology and doing all this. And it's going to cause like a huge rift between the regular population and the rules, and then the people in between who are trying to get these rules or laws enacted or written into bills. Like, there's just going to be so much of a communication kerfuffle, and it's going to make it difficult to solve any problems. So we're just seeing the beginnings of that, and like communication is breaking down so badly. So how is this going to happen? I mean, us sensible people sitting here and talking about it, we're not going to fucking do anything. We're not going to change the world. We're not going to fucking make anybody see this issue. So if they're in this little bubble of people that are all cheering each other on, like, yeah, we're for the trans community, and there's no opposition, and they silence the opposition or any kind of counterpoints or whatever, how is it going to get fixed? It doesn't seem like it is going to. It just seems like it's going to spiral out of control and get a little bit worse over time. But maybe that's just me being doom and gloom, you know?
I was just going to say that there is a, you know, obviously you could say that, but I think it behooves you to point out that there are ways that might not happen too.
I hope so, but like what?
But unfortunately, the way that these things tend to resolve themselves is some sort of knee-jerk overreaction back the other way too far.
Yeah, which also isn't the best, but I mean, it requires an equal amount of pressure.
Fuck is that echo?
Sorry, I just come in the room and I've just gone on push to talk. My bad.
It's all right. It's 7 o'clock. I'm going to end this shortly, Jay Turner, but good to see you here.
Oh, what a surprise, you're leaving after I join. I get it.
Of course, I have to get ready for work. You know how this goes. When you're getting off work, I'm getting ready for work.
Oh, that fucking background noise is insane. I've got headphones on. That's painful.
Sorry, Chris.
I think that I want to actually do a little bit more of a deep dive on this and take a look at it. I'm just interested to know because I live here. And I have no idea how these issues are being dealt with at all. And it's concerning now to see these.
See, the problem with these issues is, and I'm not saying that I've found this conversation like boring or annoying or anything, but I do find this subject boring and annoying.
Yeah, it is boring and annoying.
I don't feel like it deserves the amount of attention that you've given it today. For instance, I know, and I realise that unfortunately it's sort of quite an influential thing, and it's sort of because of that it kind of deserves talking about. But for me personally, I find it incredibly annoying and tedious.
I personally would not have cared if this whole Yaniv thing didn't happen. I had no idea that person was from here, and I was like, oh, they're from here. Maybe I should know some shit if I want to talk some shit. So it was more like it was just self-serving to know and talk. We already know.
I understand that. If it was somebody from my neck of the woods, I think I'd probably be more interested too.
Yeah, exactly. And
but luckily, where I live, we don't have to deal with these people.
Do you not have to deal with that issue very much over there? I don't actually hear about it much from over there.
Where I work, and I'm not going to go into too many details about where that is, but you know where that is.
Yes.
I work with amongst people who are trans and I work with people who, when I started working with them, they were one gender, and now they're
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a couple of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes no difference at all. Nobody cares. Like, nobody cares.
No, I can't imagine.
Nobody's horrible about it. What I mean by nobody cares is nobody's like overly like mega supportive, and nobody is mega horrible. Just nobody cares. It's it's a person at a place of work doing a job, and nobody cares. I mean, it's, you know, if they want to do whatever they want to do to make them happy, then cool. Makes no difference to their ability to work.
Yeah. Good. That's how it should be. It shouldn't.
And that's, yeah, so when I say around my parts we know how to deal with these, I'm not really being, I'm actually being genuine. That is how you deal with those people. Yeah. You don't care. Yeah. One way or another, you don't care. And that's the best way to deal with it.
Yes, of
in my opinion.
When you're at work, regardless, at whatever your personal shit is, it should be left at the door. Like, that is a place for you to kind of be professional and deal with this specific thing. That's what you're being paid for. Do your goddamn job. Nobody cares about your identity. Nobody cares how you feel. Nobody cares about any of that shit. Just do your fucking job. People depend on you to do it. It's that simple. Once you're out of that building, do whatever the fuck you want. Be whatever the fuck you want. But there should be no expectation, even in real life, that people need to accommodate you and your feelings. And at bottom, that's what this is. Like, sorry you feel this way. I feel this way. We don't have to make that a problem just because those two things are at odds. And we can just stay cool and not make a problem out of every little thing. that is somehow pertaining to this. And the idea that's frustrating is...
and the thing that is that goes both ways. It's like I don't make a problem, you don't make a problem.
Yes, exactly.
No problems.
Exactly.
So like you don't point out a problem, and I don't point out a problem. So there are no problems.
Exactly.
That's I don't know why that's so complicated, but everybody has to have a problem.
Yeah. But you know what? We don't have to have a problem. And it was nice to talk to you this morning and talk about whatever, right? No problems, no whatever. It's good. Morning problems, we don't got them.
Apart from obviously the Tails disgusting fairy thing, but let's not talk about that. Fairy tales in the chat.
Oh man, that's what his name should be changed to in the Discord too. Before I leave, what I will do is I will throw a link in the chat for the Discord if anybody would like to join. Please remember that if you click that Streamlabs link, you can hook me up with some dollar bills, y'all, and buy me a coffee. I see your donation there for $6.04. Chris.
Yeah, that's $6.04 in US is £5 which is what I donated.
Okay, so I guess it converts it to US dollars.
And you've got it set to US dollars.
No, I had to set it to Canadian because of my bank account issue.
No, it's set to US, definitely, 100%.
So that must be the ticker itself, but I'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's 5 UK pounds is genuinely $8 Canadian.
Yes, well, I thought you were gonna say 8,000. I was like, here it comes.
I was gonna go with that. It's $7.99 in fact is what it is.
Oh wow, that 1 penny.
So There you go. You can get yourself a coffee. You don't use pennies anymore, do you?
No, we got rid of them. They're gone now.
They keep saying they're going to get rid of them here and then not, and it's like it's the most annoying thing ever. It's like just get rid of them.
It's kind of awesome. Everything gets rounded up now too. So if you go and you use cash somewhere and the total comes to like $6.73, and you give them, $7, they'll give you a quarter back. They won't give you the 2 cents, which is fine by me. I'd rather not have change, period. But would I look like Bojangles over here? You think I want to walk around jingling all over the place? No,
yeah,
thanks.
I mean, I normally just throw they have those fucking charity tins next to the tills or whatever. I just chuck any money I've got in there because I just can't stand carrying coins around.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I'm a card person. Like, it was so weird being in the States and carrying cash, which, by the way, American money is weak sauce. It is Monopoly money.
It barely even looks like actual money, does it?
I know. It has a weird feel to it, and you can rip it. Like, what is the point of money if you can just rip it in half? I'm just so spoiled now.
In Canada, you can use your phone. You just don't. Because I don't even carry around cards anymore. I just use my phone.
Yeah, see, that's kind of smart, but I haven't updated my Apple Wallet to do that. I don't want to.
Yeah, but you can do that, can't you?
Yes, I can. Of course I can.
Yeah.
I just choose not to because I'm old school.
Like go to get a coffee at work or something and just sort of like ordering whatever coffee and just bapping your phone on the little credit card machine is just so much easier.
I know it is. I see everybody do it. I'm the person in my 30s who's like, here's my debit card, and they look at me very weird because everybody before me in line is just. I'm
guessing when you get a new phone, you'll probably do it. Does your phone even support it? It's really old.
Yeah, it's called Apple Wallet.
Okay.
So you can add your bank information and all your card information there, and it just you scan it and it works the same. It's been around for a while. It's not that old or new or old.
No, it's probably 2014 or something like that. It's not been around. Maybe even newer than that. Actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, I think I got my phone 2 years ago now. A year ago. A year and a half.
So why does America not do that then? If Canada does and Europe does and everywhere does.
I'm sorry. What uses what?
Why does America not have that? Or does it have that and people just don't use it?
It does have it.
Okay.
Yeah, it does have it. So we have the technology, Christopher.
So why don't they use it then?
Well, I mean, I don't know if other people don't.
Well, no, I've spoken to many Americans and I've never heard of one using the.
I don't know.
Because I have asked.
Maybe they just prefer not to. Some of us are set in our ways, okay, Chris? We're cantankerous and old, and we don't like change.
Yeah, I don't like change either. That's why I pay with my phone.
That's beautiful. Good one. And on that note, let's say bye.
Bye.
Bye.